Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking open the playbook on the one force that kills more projects than bad planning or blown budgets combined. We're talking about the project environment. It's the invisible architecture that can dictate success or failure before you even write the first line of your project charter.
So, let's start with a question we've all asked ourselves. You're staring at this perfectly crafted project plan. It's a work of art. And then it just completely goes off the rails in the real world. Why? Why do even the best laid plans fall apart? Well, the answer usually lies in forces that feel totally beyond our control. But today, we're going to figure out how to control them.
And the way we do that is by mastering our project's environment. We're going to start by understanding why good projects fail in the first place. Then, we'll break down the environment into three distinct parts. We'll look at the forces you can't control, the assets you absolutely can, and the unique DNA of your organization. And finally, we'll pull it all together into a real action plan. Okay, let's dive in.
All right, first things first. Why do good projects fail? You know, it's so easy to just blame bad planning or poor execution, but the real culprit? It's often the environment itself, this unseen battlefield where the real war for your project is won or lost. Here's the absolute key insight. Your project does not exist in a vacuum. It's more like a ship on a huge, unpredictable ocean, and it's constantly being hit by waves from both inside and outside your company. You can have the best map and the best crew in the world, but if you don't understand the winds and the currents, you're just going to end up shipwrecked. So, how do we deal with this? Well, the trick is to stop seeing the environment as just random chaos and start analyzing it systematically. What we need is a strategic diagnostic toolkit.
Unlucky for us, the PMBOK Guide gives us a brilliant framework for this. It breaks the entire environment down into three core pillars. It's a classic MECE approach, which is just a fancy way of saying it covers everything without any overlap. This gives us a really structured way to diagnose any project situation we find ourselves in.
Okay, first, let's tackle the tough stuff. The factors that influence, constrain, or direct your project, but are not under your team's direct control. These are what we call enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs. Think of these as the currents you just have to navigate. To put it simply, EEFs are the rules of the road and the weather conditions that you're stuck with, whether you like them or not. So the smart move here isn't to fight them, it's to categorize them. That makes them much easier to anticipate and manage. So we can split these EEFs into two strategic arenas. First, you've got the factors internal to your organization, but still outside your project's control. This is stuff like the company's culture, its governance structure, the specific IT software you're forced to use, or even just the overall availability of skilled people. Then you have the factors that are external to your entire company, things like marketplace conditions, new legal requirements, or even broader social trends. A savvy project manager is constantly scanning both of these horizons. Okay. Now let's shift gears and talk about the factors that are internal to your organization and are actually there to help you. These aren't constraints, these are your assets. We call them organizational process assets, or OPAs. This is your internal toolkit. I want you to think of OPAs as a treasure chest that your organization has already built for you. Seriously. It contains all the collected wisdom, all the templates, and all the proven processes that will help you succeed. Your job is to find the key and use everything inside. So what exactly is in this toolkit? Well, on one hand, you have all the formal processes and policies, things like project plan templates or pre-approved supplier lists that can save you a ton of time. But on the other hand, you have the knowledge repositories. And this stuff? This is pure gold. We're talking lessons learned from past projects, historical data. Ignoring this is literally choosing to reinvent the wheel, and probably a wobbly one at that. Now for the third and final piece of our diagnostic puzzle. This is the overarching system itself, the very structure, the DNA of your organization. It's all about understanding the system you have to operate within. And I want you to forget the official org chart for just a second. The real organizational system is what determines who has the power, who has the influence, and how decisions truly get made. Mastering this is the absolute key to navigating office politics, securing the resources you need, and actually getting things done. This table right here, this is your cheat sheet for organizational power. Just look at the left column, project manager's authority, resource availability, who controls the budget. Now trace it across. If you're in a functional structure, you have almost no power, but slide all the way to the right to project-oriented, and suddenly you're in charge.
Now, that big space in the middle, the matrix, is where most of us live, constantly negotiating for influence. The key takeaway: you have to know which column you're playing in to be effective. Okay, so we've got our three-part framework: the constraints from the EEFs, the assets from the OPAs, and the rules of the game from the organizational system. So what? How do we turn this knowledge into a real competitive advantage? It's all about shifting from theory to strategic action.
And look, this isn't just academic. Here is a simple, 3-step action plan you can apply to your project today. First, diagnose the EEFs. What are the real-world constraints you have to operate within? Second, leverage the OPAs. What tools and knowledge are sitting there waiting for you to exploit? And third, master the system. How can you navigate your organization's unique structure to gain influence and get what you need? This is the difference between being a victim of your environment and becoming a master of it.
So you see, great project management isn't really about managing a Gantt chart. It's about being a master strategist in a really complex environment. By diagnosing your constraints, leveraging your assets, and mastering the political system, you can lead any project to success. You now have the map to your environment. The only question is, where will you lead it next?